If you are thinking about buying a laser UST projector, or if you already own one, there's always one question that keeps spinning in everyone's mind. Which is the right screen should I choose for my setup? On one side, we have the classic CLR screens, also known as lenticular ceiling light rejecting screens. You can find them as electric floor rising screens, ceiling drop-down screens, or fixed frame screens. More recently, a different type of screen has appeared on the market called Fresnel Screen. This type of screens are built in a completely different way compared to CLR screens, using the Fresnel phenomenon as their base. In this video, we test and compare two screens from NothingProjector, the CLR blackseriesscreen and the NothingProjector Fresnel Screen. Both are fixed frame screens, both are 100 inches, and both are designed specific for UST projectors. By the end of this video, everything about these two screen technologies will be clear, and you'll know exactly which one is the right choice for you. So let's go! CLR or ceiling light rejecting screens use a lenticular structure with thousands of horizontal grooves angled in a way that reflects the light coming from below straight to the viewer, while rejecting the light coming from above. These micro grooves are visible only under a microscope, and their number exceeds 5,000 on a 100-inch screen, which means CLR can easily reflect all 2,160 lines of a 4K image without any loss. The lower part of each microstructure has a highly reflective surface to reflect the projector's light, while the upper part has a black coating that absorbs ambient light coming from the ceiling. In practice, when we place a UST projector below the screen, its light is reflected to the viewer, but not only straight ahead. The light is also reflected in multiple directions, left and right, similar to a classic widescreen, except in one direction, up to the ceiling. On the other hand, ambient light coming from the ceiling is effectively blocked, while light coming from the sides is only partially blocked. Instead of straight horizontal lines, Fresnel screens use thousands of concentric rings across their surface, and they work based on the well-known Fresnel effect. Fresnel fabrics are built like a sandwich, using multiple layers, with each layer playing a crucial role in the final result. Due to this multi-layer and thick fabric structure, Fresnel screens are available only as fixed frame screens, and there is no electric version available at the moment. Let's take a closer look at how a Fresnel screen works. The light coming from the UST projector below the screen is concentrated and reflected almost exclusively straight to the viewer, without being spread in other directions. The circular ring structure rejects ambient light coming from all directions, not only from the ceiling like CLR screens, while allowing reflection only from below, from where the UST projector light comes from. This results in almost zero light reflections into the room. The side walls and the ceiling receive almost zero reflected light. The image looks very bright and impressive, while remaining visually isolated from the surrounding space. Both screens come in pieces in a small box and require time and patience during assembly. On the other hand, assembling a framed screen is not rocket science, of course, but it does require attention, and honestly, having a good friend like Stavros to help is not a bad idea. I spent many hours testing these two screens and trying to fully understand their differences under all possible conditions we usually find in a typical living room. Almost everything was measured and tested, and I will share all the results with you right away. The first obvious difference that is clear to the naked eye is the surface fabric color of the screens, and how much darker the Fresnel looks compared to the CLR. In measurements, both screens seem to make the image look cooler compared to a classic widescreen, and this requires white balance correction from the projector's menu, specifically by reducing the blue gain if we want to regain a balanced grayscale again in our image. In brightness measurements, compared to a wide gain 1 screen, the CLR shows about a 20% drop in brightness, which translates to a real gain of around 0.8, but on the other hand, the Fresnel shows about a 25% increase in brightness, resulting in a real gain of 1.24. My first test focused on viewing angles. In the case of the Fresnel screen, the viewing angle is clearly narrower compared to the CLR. Here you can see both screens compared to a white X-Rite reference card. With real content, it becomes even easier to see that the Fresnel screen loses more brightness as the viewing angle increases, while the CLR maintains its brightness and image uniformity untouched, even at extreme angles. Really impressive. Here, I tested the performance of the screens under typical ceiling lighting. As you can see, the Fresnel screen performs better in ceiling light rejection, maintaining contrast and colors more effectively than the CLR. The second test focused on how the screens behave when ambient light comes from the sides. Once again, the Fresnel shows better performance, which makes perfect sense since Fresnel screens reject side light as well and not only ceiling light like CLR screens. When both ceiling and side lights are turned on at the same time, it becomes very clear that the Fresnel is the winner between the two screens in terms of overall ambient light rejection. The Fresnel screen seems to be the ideal choice for users who want to use their ustprojector under strong ambient light conditions or in daylight. In my opinion, the most interesting test is how these screens behave in a dark room, which is, I believe, how most people watch movies and TV series in their home theater space. Besides rejecting ambient light in bright environments, these screens are ideal for darkroom use as well, as they reduce image reflections on the side walls and the ceiling, maintaining the image contrast and making it more impressive through its isolation from the surrounding space. The CLR screen reflects a noticeable amount of light to the floor, while the Fresnel does not. On the other hand, the Fresnel screen reflects more light to the ceiling, while the CLR does not. As for reflections on the side walls, both screens perform very well, with the Fresnel having a slight advantage, especially when considering its higher gain and the increased overall brightness of the image it reflects. In direct side-by-side image quality comparison, both screens are excellent. However, the image produced by the NothingProjector Black Series CLR screen looks slightly more cinematic to my eyes compared to the Fresnel. An important factor is that this CLR screen completely eliminates laser speckle from any RGB UST laser projector, while the Fresnel, even with its anti-speckle coating, cannot reduce speckle to the same degree, not even close. The Black Series CLR screen is the ideal choice if you watch movies in a dark room or with well-controlled ambient light. Laser speckle from RGB laser UST projectors bothers you, and you want it completely removed. You want the most cinematic image possible in a controlled environment. And finally, you want the best possible viewing angles with zero hotspot. The Fresnel screen, on the other hand, is the ideal choice if you want the maximum possible brightness from your projector. You watch sports, movies or TV shows during the day or under strong ambient light. You want the lowest possible light reflections in your room. There are also some drawbacks to keep in mind. For the CLR screen, the lenticular fabric is sensitive, easy to be destroyed and must be cleaned only with a soft brush. The Fresnel screen, on the other hand, has a protective film and can be cleaned easily like glass or a computer monitor. I will have the links of both screens in the video description below if you are interested to check them. Thank you for watching another Projector Junkies video. See you in the next one.